Good morning, I am Varun. We shall continue with the previous class. In previous class we have discussed about evaporation, measurement of evaporation and factors affecting evaporation. We have also solved 3 to 4 problems. Okay. We shall continue with the next topic. Another important topic is evapotranspiration. Evapotranspiration. Evapotranspiration is also one of the major laws. It is also one of the major laws occurring in precipitation. Evapotranspiration, it is a combination of two words. One is evaporation, another one is transpiration. First, we shall understand what is transpiration. What is transpiration? Transpiration, it is a process in which water leaves. Let us consider a plant. Transpiration, it is a process in which water leaves from the living plant. Water leaves from the living plant through stomatal opening. Through stomatal opening in the plants and get diffused to vapor. What will happen? Through stomatal opening, the water will get evaporate and it will become vapor state. Water will get evaporate and it will become vapor state. What will happen? Water will lose and carbon dioxide will enter. Carbon dioxide will enter through stomatal opening. This process is called as transpiration. This process is called as transpiration. Transpiration, it is defined as transpiration is a process in which water removes from the stomatal opening of the living plant and it is converted to vapor. It is called as transpiration. Now you understand what is transpiration. Now we need to understand what is evapotranspiration. Evapotranspiration, it is represented by symbol ET. ET equals to evaporation plus transpiration. Evaporation plus transpiration. Evaporation occurring at land surface. Plus what is transpiration? Evaporation occurring at plants. Evaporation occurring at plants or vegetation. It is called as evapotranspiration. Evapotranspiration, it is a combination of evaporation and transpiration. What is evaporation? Evaporation occurring at land surface and evaporation occurring at plants. It is called as evapotranspiration. Now you understand what is evapotranspiration. Now we shall draw one typical diagram. Through these plants or vegetation, the transpiration will occur. Through these plants or vegetation, the transpiration will occur. Through this ground surface, in the ground surface, some amount of moisture is also present. Through these grounds. Here the evaporation will take place. Combination of evaporation and transpiration, it is called as evapotranspiration. In evapotranspiration, there are of two types. One is, there are two types of evapotranspiration. One is potential evapotranspiration. Potential evapotranspiration. It is called as PET. The second one is actual evapotranspiration. Actual evapotranspiration. Actual evapotranspiration. It is the two types of evapotranspiration. What is potential evapotranspiration? Soil contain adequate moisture to meet the needs of the vegetation. Soil contain adequate moisture to meet the needs of the vegetation, It is called as potential evapotranspiration. Whereas what is actual evapotranspiration? Evapotranspiration at particular place and at particular time are nothing but actual, how much amount of evaporation that is going to take place, it is called as actual evapotranspiration. At particular place, at particular time, what is the evaporation? It is called as, or what is the evapotranspiration? It is called as actual evapotranspiration. Now, at particular time, now the time is around 10 o'clock. At particular time, what is the evapotranspiration? At particular place, at Mysore, what is the evapotranspiration? It is called as actual evapotranspiration. I can also quote another example. Now let us consider typical example, particular crop cultivation. I require 1 lakh amount of money. 1 lakh amount of money. I have only 50,000 rupees. I have only 50,000 rupees. This 1 lakh is nothing but potential evapotranspiration. If I get 1 lakh amount of money, I can yield the crop very well. But actually, how much amount I am having? I am having only 50,000. That 50,000 is nothing but actual evapotranspiration. Actual evapotranspiration. There are two types of evapotranspiration. One is potential evapotranspiration. It is PET. The second one is actual evapotranspiration. It is AET. Heredity index equals to PET minus AET by PET into 100. Here PET is the potential evapotranspiration and AET is the actual evapotranspiration, because whatever in Mysore the evapotranspiration is different, in Mandya the evapotranspiration is different, in Kodagu the evapotranspiration is different, because the soil moisture or the vegetation is different from place to place. Whereas in potential evapotranspiration, we are going to consider the adequate moisture to meet the need of the vegetation. These are the two types of evapotranspiration. Now let us study the various. Now let us discuss the next topic is factors affecting evapotranspiration. What are the different factors that are going to affect the evapotranspiration? One is temperature, the second one is humidity, the third one is sunshine hours, the fourth one is wind speed, the fifth one is type of crop, the sixth one is irrigation method. Okay. All these are some of the factors which are going to affect the evapotranspiration. The evapotranspiration may increase or the evapotranspiration may decrease. One thing is, the first one is temperature. As the temperature increases, the evapotranspiration will increase. As the temperature increases, the evapotranspiration will increase. The second one is humidity. The humidity is different in coastal areas and it is different in dry lands. Because in coastal area it is more humid, because all the air is somewhat in moist condition, because already the air present in the coastal area is saturated. It is somewhat warmer, it is somewhat saturated. First that moist air should get evaporated. After that, the plants surrounding the coastal areas will start evapotranspiration. Because evapotranspiration is inversely proportional to humidity. Evapotranspiration is inversely proportional to humidity. As the humidity increases, the evapotranspiration will decrease. Usually you are going to see in coastal areas such as Mangalore, Kerala. All the coastal areas are green in nature because there is more rainfall, there is more humidity. So the evapotranspiration is less. Next, the evapotranspiration will also depends upon the sunshine hour. It also depends upon the percentage sunshine hour, because you all know that the sun will not be for 24 hours. It will be from morning 6 to evening 6. At that time only evapotranspiration will take place. And one thing I forgot to tell you, that the transpiration will occur only on daytime. It will not occur at the night time. Okay. The evapotranspiration will depends upon the percentage sunshine hour, how much amount of sunshine hour that is going to affect the evapotranspiration. If the sunshine hour is more, then the evapotranspiration is more. If the sunshine hour is less, then the evapotranspiration is less. Next, wind speed. Wind speed, I will going to represent it by V. As the wind speed increases, evapotranspiration will also increase. And it also depends upon the type of crop. Which type of crop you are going to cultivate, whether you are going to cultivate sugarcane, paddy or cotton. All this, it also depends, evapotranspiration will depend on the type of crop, because some type of crop will absorb more amount of water. Now let us consider it as an paddy. Paddy will consume more amount of water, is consumed by the plants. As the plants more amount of water is consumed, more evapotranspiration will take place. If the less amount of water is consumed by the plant, then less evapotranspiration will take place, because it also depends upon the type of the crop. For all the crops, the evapotranspiration will not be more, or the transpiration will not be more. It depends upon the type of crop. Which crop will absorb more amount of water, that crop will undergo more amount of transpiration. Next, it also depends upon the irrigation method, on which type of method you are going to supply the water. Whether you are going to supply the water through drip irrigation, through sprinkler irrigation, to furrow method, through some of the reservoir, through bore wells or through wells. It also depends upon the irrigation methods. Okay, all these are the factors which are going to affect the evapotranspiration. I forgot to say one thing, that evapotranspiration will also called as consumptive use. Evapotranspiration is also called as consumptive use. Somewhat it is similar to consumptive use. Now you know that what is evaporation, Evaporation occurring at the land surface and transpiration occurring on the vegetation, it is called as evapotranspiration. Now what is consumptive use? Whether the consumptive use and the evapotranspiration both are similar? We can say both are similar, but there is slight change. In consumptive use, what is consumptive use? Consumptive is nothing but evaporation plus transpiration plus whatever the water absorbed by the plant roots, for the development of the crop, or for the development of the plant. Initially, now let us consider initially the plant is very small. After 1 year the plant will become large. For the development of the plant, some amount of water will be contributed. That is also considered in consumptive use. Plus, for the development of the plant, or the vegetation. What is consumptive use? Evaporation plus transpiration plus for the development, moisture utilized for the development of the plant. Water utilized for the development of the plant, it is called as consumptive use. Usually consumptive use will be always greater than evapotranspiration. It is consumptive use will be always greater than evapotranspiration. Okay. once the rainfall occurs or once you supply the water, some amount of water is absorbed by the soil and some amount of the water is absorbed by the plants. Some amount of water absorbed by the plants will get evaporate, and some amount of water absorbed by the root will improve the plants, or it will improve the growth of the plants. After improving growth of the plants, whatever the water present on the leaves or on the stomatal openings, it is get transpirated. It is get transpirated, or transpiration occurs through the opening of the stomatal leaves. It is called as consumptive use. We can call it as consumptive use as amount of water utilized for evaporation and transpiration plus evaporation plus transpiration plus for also for the plant's growth, for the plant's growth. It is called as consumptive use. The next topic is measurement of evapotranspiration, because here we need to measure how much amount of water that has evaporated, how much amount of water that has evaporated through the soil and through the vegetation should be measured. For that measurement of evaporation, there are two methods. The first method is lysimeter method. Lysimeter method. The second one is Bentley-Creedle formula. Bentley-Creedle formula. There are various methods for the measurement of evapotranspiration. For our exam point of view, we are going to concentrate only on lysimeter and Bentley-Creedle's formula. What is lysimeter? Lysimeter is a device which is used to measure the evapotranspiration. From lysimeter, we can measure evapotranspiration. From phytometer, we can measure transpiration. We can measure transpiration. From phytometer, we can measure transpiration. Lysimeter, it is used to measure evapotranspiration. Phytometer, it is used to measure the transpiration. Why we need to measure how much amount of water that has evapotranspirated? We should know. Why we need to measure the evapotranspiration? Because now let us consider for yielding some of the crop, we need to know how much time the water is to be supplied to the crop. Now let us consider a sugar cane, or let us consider a paddy. For how much day we need to supply the water through that plant? For how much depth we need to supply water to that plant? When we supply, now let us consider 120 centimeter of water should be supplied to the plant, but we will be not able to supply 120 centimeter depth of water because at some particular year there is a scarcity of water. At that year we cannot supply 120 centimeter of water. Let us consider we will supply only 80 centimeter of water. When you supply only 80 centimeter of water, some amount of water is infiltrated, some amount of water is absorbed by the plant roots, and absorbed plant roots will lead to the growth, will lead to the plant growth, and some amount will get transpirated. For that, how much amount of evapotranspiration measurement is very important. If we know the amount of evapotranspiration properly, we can know the how much amount of water to be supplied to the crop is easily found out or easily known. For that purpose, how much amount of water to be supplied to the plant, you need to measure the evapotranspiration properly. The first one is lysimeter, the second one is Bentley-Creedle's formula. What is lysimeter? we are going to measure the evapotranspiration in lysimeter. Lysimeter is very similar to a tank. In a tank we are going to set up a soil and we are going to set up some of the plant at the ground surface, at the natural ground surface, and we are going to apply the inflow. I is nothing but the inflow is nothing but we are going to apply some amount of water through the soil. It is a closed container which is closed at the bottom, but at the bottom it is pervious, and open at the top. At the ground surface you are going to build some of the plant, or we are going to yield some of the plant. Once we yield the plant, we need to supply water. The supplying of water is called nothing but it is an inflow. Once you supply the water is absorbed by the soil and it is absorbed by the roots of the plants. When the water is roots of the plants, some amount will get transpirated, and some amount will get utilized for the growth of the plant. And some amount of soil present, some amount of moisture present in the soil, it will get evaporated. The remaining amount of water will get percolated in downward direction. The percolated downward direction water will collected at the bottom. There is an outlet drainage is provided. Whenever the water is excess, the excess water will collected at the outlet. We know that how much amount of water we supplied at the inflow or at the inlet, and we know that how much amount of water is collected at the outlet. The evapotranspiration equals to I minus O minus delta MC. Delta MC is nothing but available moisture at particular site. We will get the evapotranspiration. Inflow, outflow and moisture present at particular place and at particular time. At which time we are going to measure the evapotranspiration? At that time, what is the moisture in the soil? Is delta MC. Will give the evapotranspiration. Evapotranspiration is nothing but evaporation plus transpiration plus amount of water utilized for plants growth. We can call it as consumptives. We can also call it as consumptives anta kuda navu ಏನು ಮಾಡಬಹುದು ಇದನ್ನ ಕರೆಯಬಹುದು. We can call it as consumptives, Cu. We can also call it as ET or Cu. C is the consumptives, ET is the evapotranspiration. Inflow minus outflow minus delta MC. Inflow is the amount of water applied to the soil. Outflow is the amount of water collected in the drainage basin at the outlet. And delta MC is the moisture present in the soil at particular time and at particular place. The remaining water will get evapotranspirated. Some amount of water will get evaporation and some amount of water will get transpirated and some amount of water will be utilized for the plant's growth. It is called as, this is how we are going to measure the evapotranspiration by using lysimeter. It is a lysimeter. Lysimeter is a device which is used to measure the evapotranspiration. Okay. The next method is Bentley-Creedle's formula. What does Bentley-Creedle's formula says? Cu or PET, potential evapotranspiration, equals to K P Tm by 100. What is K? K is the crop factor. What is K? Crop factor, it is the ratio of consumptive Q used by pan evaporation. K is the crop factor, it is the ratio of consumptive used by pan evaporation. What is P? P is the percentage daylight hours. In monthly. P is the monthly percentage hour of bright sunshine in a year. Monthly percentage hour of sunshine. Monthly percentage hour of sunshine in a year. T is the mean temperature. T is the mean temperature. Mean temperature. Bentley-Criddle's formula is most accurate method for finding out the evapotranspiration. It is the most accurate method for finding out the evapotranspiration. Here we are going to neglect the humidity and wind velocity. Here we are going to neglect the humidity and wind velocity, but compared to all other methods, it is a simple and fast method for finding out the evapotranspiration, and it is also most accurate method. Here the temperature is measured in Fahrenheit. It is the temperature is measured in Fahrenheit because it is an empirical formula. Whatever the standard units as mentioned, that the same units to be used for finding out the evapotranspiration. Here the Fahrenheit is converted to, here the in question if we have mentioned in centigrade, convert the centigrade to Fahrenheit. 1 Fahrenheit equals to 1.8 centigrade plus 32. 1 Fahrenheit equals to 1.8 centigrade plus 32. Bentley-Criddle's formula, it is used to find out the evapotranspiration, and it is one of the most accurate method for finding out the evapotranspiration. Here we are going to neglect the wind velocity and humidity. Here Cu, consumptive use or potential evapotranspiration, equals to K into P into Tm by 100. Here the K is the crop factor. Crop factor is the ratio of consumptive use by tan evaporation, and P is the monthly percentage hour of sunshine in years, and Tm is the mean temperature. It is measured in Fahrenheit. For converting Fahrenheit equals to 1.8 centigrade plus 32. In case in question if you have mentioned in centigrade, you need to convert it to Fahrenheit. This is with respect to Bentley-Criddle's formula. One is the lysimeter, the second one is Bentley-Criddle's formula. By using lysimeter and by using the Bentley-Criddle's formula, we can find out the evapotranspiration. In next class, we shall solve few problems how to measure the evapotranspiration by using the Bentley-Criddle's formula. There are various other methods, Penman's method or some of the direct method for measurement of evapotranspiration. As of exam point of view, we are going to concentrate on only these two methods. In next class, we shall solve the problems. Thank you.